it comes down to this episode specifically, I have to say it is hauntingly beautiful in the sense that visually it is just perfection. Way more than I've already expected from this anime, considering that I have no context to it since I'm an anime only for this particular case. And yet, the haunting part is, it's kind of depressing in the grand scheme of things, because we see one of the most interesting starts to an episode, and that's of a mother trying to look for her daughter, or go after the people who kidnapped her daughter, which we don't obviously see till later in the episode. But my golly, is that kind of painful to kind of witness, because this yokai or evil spirit is not necessarily just wanting to kill people and murder them just because. It has a genuine connection with the popular girl, which, by the way, her name is Ira, so we're gonna now say her real name. So Ira is being carried unconsciously by our protagonist Okarun and his like super form. Ayase obviously is like guiding them because they're trying to get away from this creature, and even though it does seem like they are just kind of running into a maze, the whole point is because she constantly keeps sticking
her hair everywhere,
she gets herself stuck. And because she is stuck, they do have a chance to beat this thing. Although it is funny and a little comical that Okarun, when Ayase tells him to beat the shit out of him in one attack, Okarun's like, I've never thrown a punch before, so what to do? And yeah, kind of funny between the two, but he does land a powerful blow that actually knocks this creature out for a bit. And that's using his head. He literally charged with his head and smashed the hell out of it into a different wall after breaking the building they're in. And yeah, we obviously have them eventually like get Okarun's one of his jewels. So successfully they do get one of them. However, Turbo Granny points out that the girl is dead. Like, she has no life at all. Like, she died. The second they went into the monster's belly, the thing is, most normal people would instantly die from that. All the while, someone like Okarun, who has Turbo Granny's powers, and Ayase, who has Psyche powers, would not be affected by it. And it makes sense. Now, another thing to interesting point out is that although she kind of caused them a lot of trouble, they are good people. They show themselves helping, trying to revive Ira from, well,
death, essentially. They're trying to prevent her from dying. And although they're trying to use Ayase's psychic abilities and also Okarun like using CPR methods, from what obviously Turbo Granny telling them this is all futile. The girl's dead. And the other young guy, or a spirit, essentially was telling them is that think of it as a battery. It needs a charge because her energy is like, her life energy is so low, nothing they do will bounce it back. However, this spirit wants to save Ira, and it is just so interesting that it knows it's gonna die. That is essentially the thing. It's borrowing all of its powers to transfer it all into Ira to save Ira from dying, because she wants her daughter to live, as well as showing some regrets. Now, they're obviously valid in not trusting it, because, you know, you can't really trust the spirit that tried to kill you, not to mention it tried to kill them. And even then, Ayase takes a leap of faith with Okarun being in his badass form just in case something happens. And just as he essentially makes a link between the two, I love that they're using car analogy. It's kind of funny. But once that happens, we get one of the saddest backstories I've seen in a while, because, my golly, this evil spirit was a mother, and a mother who had to do some things in order to provide for her daughter, to make sure her daughter was well and good. And although things were tough, her daughter was that light that kept things for her balanced. And yet, no matter what, it eventually led to one of the most saddest things, where these two jackasses, no, not even jackasses, that's insult to jackasses, these two inhuman pieces of garbage, lower than garbage, obviously hurt her, like literally hurt her, take away her daughter, and just leave her there to die because she took a lot of damage. And like I said, poetically haunting because we see her perspective, and the visuals are too realistic where, yeah, I felt genuine sadness because she really did try, and yet it didn't have a happy ending. And I mean, for those who didn't get the context, she kind of off herself, and it's just sad. And the meeting with Ira is because Ira had saw her like spirits when she was a kid, when she had lost her mother. So we have a little girl who just lost her mother, a mother who lost her daughter, meeting. And that meeting is what kept this spirit like sort of bound. And it came back around to save Ira. Now, she is dying, and as Turbo Granny says, if they die with like regrets, it's most likely that, yeah, she's going to not be able to go to the afterlife. And considering the fact that she already died once and is the spirit, and that spirit is essentially dying again, yeah, she's gonna go to the void. And what Turbo Granny essentially says is, if you get sent to the void, every piece of you is forgotten completely. You're just erased from existence, from memory, everything, which is one hell of a fate to end up in. And honestly, seeing Ira go and hug like the mother per se, and kind of, I believe, telling her mother to please reunite this mother and her child together in a better world, it's probably the best bet. I'm being hopeful here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Ira might have just saved this mother from completely evaporating. I mean, time will tell. Maybe I might consider reading the manga and figuring that out. But either way, it is a hard-hitting ending to an episode. And I just, 100 out of 10. Like, I've only given one other thing 100 out of 10, and it was super recently. But this one, my God, it really does pull on your heartstrings.